Okay, so today we're taking a look at the BetaFPV Aquila16 RTF kit. And if you're watching this video, you're probably in one of two camps. One, you're probably a new pilot trying to get into the FPV hobby, or two, you're probably an existing pilot and just kind of curious about this new drone altogether. Either way, you're in the right place and I have you covered. So let's get into it. So let's just remove the sleeve right here. Put this to the side. All right, pretty cool. You have a nice little carrying case here. And that's really convenient because you can carry all your contents, all your drones, your radio in this one case. If you go into the field or if you're gonna travel, everything is in here and can fit seamlessly in this case. And here it is, guys. First thing I see here is a user manual. Put this to the side. And here's your RTF kit, guys. And everything fits really nice in here. I like this nice gray dark color on here. Let's get this out. You have a pouch here so you can store your accessories. Looks like a battery. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Looks like a prop tool, some screwdrivers, USB-C to USB-A cable, another battery. So 2 batteries with this kit. And that's really amazing because most other RTF kits, they don't include 2 batteries, just 1. Then you have a charger for the battery. And you have, looks like a QR code to go to the website for support or for the manual. Really nice touch. And next we have the actual drone here. Now this looks a little bit smaller than I expected. This is really nice. This thing actually feels a lot lighter than it looks. Now this one here, this is the Aquila16, obviously 1.6 inches. But this thing looks a lot like the Avata, which really isn't a bad thing, guys. We'll take a look at this in great detail in a second. And this is the Light Raider 2 SE. I've done a full review on this one. This one has Express LRS on here. So, which is really good for range, penetration, and latency, guys. It's a really good protocol, and it's a welcome sight to see Express LRS being introduced into RTF kits. Besides that, you have the goggles, which is the reason why you're looking at an FPV drone. And that gives you a first-person view with these goggles here. Really, really nice. Some nice leather padding on the front here. And this nice little gray dark material here. We'll also look at that in a bit. And besides that, that's all there is to this kit here. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this Aquila16. This thing looks pretty cool, guys. It looks like a mini Avata. Now this thing here feels really light. Now the website said that this thing weighs around 47 to 48 grams. Let's take a look at that and see if that's true. And there you go, 47 grams on the dot. So very accurate here. And with the batteries, let's see how much this one weighs. This one here is the 1100 milliamp hour battery. This is a 1S battery. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But you can also get a 660 milliamp hour as well, good for freestyle maneuvers. And it weighs around 73 grams as well. So not too heavy. Now the first thing here are these propellers on here. These are 45 millimeter propellers. And these are tri-blades. Now, as you can see, this configuration here is a pusher configuration. And what that means is that the motors are actually under the frame and there's nothing obstructing the propeller blades below it. So you're gonna have effective airflow going down, and that leads to a stable or more stable drone. So that's a good design by BetaFPV. Now, connected to these propellers, you have these motors. These are 1102 18,000 kV motors. So these things spin pretty fast. This is a 1S drone, so it is normal to have these propellers spinning that fast. But we'll see if that's adequate, power for a drone of this size and weight. Now, besides that, we talked about the camera on here. The branding on here looks pretty good. You have the BetaFPV logo on here. Now in here you have the FPV camera, the camera you'll be using to fly the drone. Now this is a CO2 camera. It is adjustable. It can tilt between 15 and 30 degrees. And that's very important. Now some of the other drones have a fixed angle on here, but you can actually lower this a little bit so you can fly a lot slower indoors, or you can increase the tilt to around 30 degrees and therefore fly a lot faster if you're outdoors or in an open space. Now talking about the camera on here, this is also connected to a VTX on here, and the VTX is the actual instrument or device that transmits the signal to your goggles. And this one has a 350 milliwatt VTX. Now some of the other RTF kits have around 200 milliwatts, so 350 is pretty good, and that should give you maybe around 300 meters or so, and we'll see how it works. The only thing that's different here is that some of the other traditional drones have some kind of an external antenna to the VTX. I don't know where the antenna is on this one. It's probably inside in here, and that might affect the range of this drone. Now on top here, you have 2 LEDs. It's kind of hard to see on here, but you have 2 lights on here, and that gives you the status of the drone, whether it be the battery, pairing mode, or just the status of your receiver. So that's pretty cool. That's on here, and it looks pretty cool if you're gonna fly this in a dark environment. You can see the lights on here, and once you put the battery on here, you can actually see the lights through the battery. So we'll take a look at that once we set this up. Now, talking about the battery, you also have the plug here for the battery. This is a BT 2.0, and this is a proprietary plug by BetaFPV, but it is a quality plug that reduces battery sag and gives you a really good and robust connection to your battery. In fact, a lot of the other drones on the market are sometimes going towards this connector right here. So it's pretty nice that they have this stock from the factory on this drone. Now, underneath here is pretty straightforward. A lot of the components here are covered, which is good. So in case you do crash this into some grass or a field, not a lot of water is gonna get into your flight control on here. But besides that, you have a couple of plugs in here. You have a 1 plug on here, and that can interface with your computer so that you can configure your actual flight controller or flash the actual receiver in your drone. Now, there's one more cool thing about this drone, and that is this little sensor on the here. Now, this is a optical flow sensor in here. Once this is on, this drone will be able to hover on its own. Now, FPV drones are very difficult, to say the least, to fly, especially if you're a new pilot. And having this one feature will ease you into the FPV world and learn the drone at your pace. I know a lot of the camera drones, you can release it and it will hover. Now, with this optical flow sensor on here, this thing will measure the height from the drone to the ground and try to maintain that height. Now, this same optical flow sensor here will enable this drone to do an auto land in case you have a low battery indication, or if you crash this drone into a wall or object really violently, or in case you lose link with your radio. So that is a really cool feature, and it's cool that they have this built into the actual flight controller, guys. Overall, this drone here looks pretty good and kind of robust, actually. Now, they're using a PA12 plastic on here, and that is known for its lightness, yet robust and durability. So I don't suspect this drone here will receive any damage. In fact, the camera here is recessed a little bit backwards, so I don't suspect this thing to have any weakness overall, but we'll see once we test it. Now, moving on, here is the radio here. This is the Light Radio 2 SE, and this one here is in the black color. As I said before, this radio did come initially in this white color on here, but it is the same light radio here. It has a 1S battery in here. You can open this up, but you may not see any batteries. It's built into the actual radio. Behind here, you have a setup button and a bind button, and we'll talk about it once we set this up and bind this to the drone. But this does have express LRS. It's very, very light, and you have these switches on here, and we'll talk about it later as well as we do the setup on this. But pretty much you have your switch here to arm to change the actual modes, to change your speed, and then you have one here for your crash flip or your turtle mode. So these are all features that you'll probably get used to. Now, by the way, this radio here is compatible with almost all the simulators on the market. So you have this USB-C port on here. Connect this to your favorite sim on your computer, and you can do some practicing. And honestly, guys, my first drone didn't have this feature on here. This is a lifesaver, and I do recommend you try this feature on the computer before you fly your drone and get familiar with the controls and switches on your radio. Okay, last but not least, we have these FPV goggles. This is probably the reason why you're probably into the whole FPV, because we have traditional camera drones without any goggles. You fly the drones with a monitor or your cell phone, but the FPV takes it to another level. You have this goggles on here. You put this to your face and you can fly with an immersive feel, guys. This is the real reason why you're into FPV, is this first person view. Now, this makes a lot of sense. You have the camera right here. It sends the image to your goggles, and then you're off to the races, and you can fly pretty much through any space if you want to. Now, this is a pretty cool goggles. This is the VR3, and this one here is packed with features. It also has a more modern design, guys. Honestly, when I started off, my own was this is a box style goggles, but mine was really, really boxy. This one here looks really modern. You have a retractable antenna on here so you can get better reception. And this is replaceable, so you can upgrade this to a more premium antenna. Now, besides that, this one is also equipped with a DVR, meaning you can record the flights as you fly and then share it to your friends or anyone on social media if you want to. Now, DVR also serves another purpose. If something is wrong with your drone, you can see what happened to it. Or if you were happy to just lose your drone, then you can replay it in your goggles and see where the drone crashed or landed. You have a few buttons on here. You have a record button, as I said before, it can record the DVR. You have a band and a channel here, and you have a search button on here as well. Besides that, you have a power button and a battery charging or a USB-C port here to charge the internal battery in here. So it's all self-contained, really, really nice, really cool branding on here with the BetaFPV. And this dark gray and black combo looks really sleek and modern. Now you saw earlier, just instinctively, I took my glasses off. These things are not compatible with glasses. It's not gonna fit in here. But for me, typically when I take my glasses off, I can still see the glasses pretty fine. And for my face, this is a pretty cool fit. I don't know how comfortable it's gonna be, but we do have some leather on the padding right here. And for my face, guys, this thing is a really good fit with minimum light leaks, guys. So if you're trying to get into the hobby, guys, everything here is included. All you have to do is just charge your battery, find your radio, and you're off to the races, guys. So they've done all the hard work here for you. And this is a complete set. I just love the color, the way it looks. And hopefully this thing here flies pretty well. So in the next video, we're gonna set this up and take this for its first flight. So if you wanna see that video, hit that subscribe button there for you to be notified whenever I do drop that video. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.